You ever get the feeling that bad weather is just like the go-to excuse for airlines when there's a delay?
Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong, safety's got to come first, obviously. But getting ready for this deep dive today kind of got me thinking, like, maybe, just maybe, we're finally getting close to outsmarting those annoying weather delays for good. What do you think?
yeah, totally. It's interesting.
We're diving deep into this article from tomorrow.io today. It's called Four Ways Weather Intelligence Can Improve Operations for Airlines and Airports. And they're basically talking about forecasting tech that goes way beyond just, like, checking your weather app to see if you need an umbrella.
Yeah, sure.
This is next level stuff.
It really is. What's really incredible is how we're shifting from these like general forecasts
Yeah.
to hyper-specific real-time weather intelligence. Like think about it. An airline doesn't just need to know if it's going to snow. They need to know the exact snowfall rate, how much it's going to pile up over time, and even like which runway is going to be the least affected. All that kind of granular detail.
It's like the difference between knowing, okay, a storm's coming and knowing exactly when and where that storm's going to hit, how bad it's going to be, like all the specifics.
Exactly. And that level of detail, I mean, that's what's absolutely crucial for making those decisions that impact both safety and efficiency. And, the article even gives this crazy example. Airports, they can clear up to 10,000 tons of snow every hour during a big storm using, all this specialized equipment. But that whole operation, it turns into this logistical nightmare, not to mention incredibly expensive if they're trying to do it based on forecasts that are outdated or inaccurate.
Okay, hold on. 10,000 tons of snow. Just picturing that really drives home why getting those precise details is so mission critical for airlines.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not even just about snow. Think about ice storms, freezing rain, heck, even strong winds. These can be super dangerous for planes, and the traditional forecasts they use, they often struggle to predict them with that pinpoint accuracy that's needed. This then leads to those reactive closures and delays, even in situations where the conditions might not actually call for it.
So we're not just talking about avoiding delays here, it's about making things safer overall. But let's face it, delays are a huge part of what makes air travel so frustrating. The article mentioned something wild. Airlines lose billions of dollars every year just because of weather disruptions. Billions! I mean, what all goes into that cost?
Well, it's kind of a ripple effect. When you think about it, if a plane is grounded, that means you've got wasted fuel, crew overtime, and then it sets off this whole domino effect of delays for other flights. And
Yeah.
then of course there are the costs that trickle down to us, the passengers, missed connections, unexpected hotel rooms, meals. It all adds up. Actually, the article states that passengers end up forking out an average of $383 extra per delay just because of these issues.
Ouch. Yeah, I've definitely been there stuck with unexpected expenses because of unforeseen weather. But this is where this whole weather intelligence thing gets really cool, right? It's about using all that data to make smarter decisions way ahead of time, not just reacting to the mess as it happens.
You got it. The real game changer here is that we now have real-time data, and it's being crunched by AI and machine learning. Airlines can actually use this information to make proactive decisions, things like routing planes around storms, tweaking schedules to minimize disruptions, even strategically delaying flights while they're still on the ground, rather than risking a mid-air diversion, getting out ahead of it.
It's like they're playing 4D chess with weather patterns, trying to stay ahead of it all.
Right.
But what I think is really interesting is how this can change things for us, for passengers. The article talks about how this can actually make things better for people traveling, even with the delays.
Yeah.
Like proactive communication, they called it. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's all about managing expectations, right? Like, imagine this. You get a notification on your phone and it says, hey, we know there's a chance of thunderstorms where you're going, so we're going to tweak the flight schedule a bit to, try to miss the worst of it. You might be a little delayed, but we'll keep you posted every step of the way.
That's a huge difference from the usual airport scramble.
Totally. And it's not just about delays either. They can use this kind of data to make all sorts of things better, like fuel efficiency, which, by the way, is good for the environment too, right? And think about ticket prices even, gate assignments, even how they schedule the ground crews. All kinds of stuff.
So smoother operations, fewer delays, less stress for everyone. Sounds almost too good to be true.
I know, right?
But I was curious about something. The article mentioned climate change. Like, this technology is even more important now because of it. What's the connection there?
Well, think about it. As our climate changes, we're going to see more extreme weather events, and they're going to happen more often, too. Remember those domino effects we talked about earlier? Well, those dominoes, they're getting bigger and falling faster, weather intelligence is going to be even more crucial to keep things running smoothly and adapt to this, well, this new reality.
Makes sense. So it's not just about making flying a bit nicer, it's about making sure the whole industry can even survive these growing challenges in the future. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? The article actually highlights some really cool tech that's making this level of weather intelligence possible in the first place, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about how it all works?
Sure, it's this fascinating combo of like cutting edge tech and just like good old fashioned data analysis. They're using a whole network of really advanced sensors, satellites, and weather stations on the ground that are constantly collecting data. I mean, everything from wind speed and direction to air pressure, how much rain or snow is falling, all of it.
Okay, so you've got all this data pouring in. What then? How do you even make sense of all of it?
That's where AI and machine learning come in. These systems can analyze insane amounts of data in real time. We're talking identifying patterns, predicting what the weather is going to do next, and even learning from past events to improve the accuracy of their
So
predictions.
it's like having like a super-powered meteorologist working 24/7 behind the scenes.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And it's getting even more powerful. The article mentioned these new sensors they're developing that can actually detect microbursts, those subtle, powerful downdrafts. Super dangerous for aircraft, especially during takeoff and landing.
Now, that's what I call next-level forecasting. But all of this sounds pretty complex and expensive to actually set up, I imagine. So is this something all airlines are going to be able to use, or is it just the big companies with tons of money?
That's a really good question. And it highlights one of the challenges of making this technology more widespread. It takes a lot of investment, not just in the tech itself, but also in training people to use it and make sense of the data.
So it's not just a matter of flipping a switch. Got it.
Yeah.
There are definitely some hurdles to overcome.
Exactly. And it's not even just about the airlines. Think about the airports, air traffic control, even the meteorological agencies. They all play a role here.
So everyone needs to work together then.
Yeah, collaboration is key. The article pointed to some promising examples of this actually happening, with airlines, airports, and tech companies all working together to build these systems and put them into practice.
That's reassuring to hear, because it feels like this technology could change everything, not just the airline industry, but all sorts of things. Everyone deals with the weather, right?
For sure. And while we've been talking about airlines specifically, imagine the possibilities for other industries, like agriculture, for example, or, disaster preparedness. Heck, even something as simple as planning a weekend trip. The possibilities are huge.
That's a great point. It really makes you wonder. If we can get this right, if we can get everyone using this kind of weather intelligence, could it actually change how we live and experience the world around us? For good.
It's definitely possible. And it all comes down to information. How we use it, how we share it.
It's like we're moving from a world where we just have to react to whatever the weather throws at us, to one where we can actually anticipate it, plan for it, maybe even, like, I don't know, work with it.
It's a pretty exciting thought, right?
It is.
Like, imagine farmers being able to use these hyperlocal forecasts to figure out the best time to plant and harvest their crops, or city planners designing things like, infrastructure that can handle those extreme weather events we were talking about.
Or even just knowing for sure that you need to bring that extra umbrella. Simple things, but important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, like you said, on a more serious note, this kind of technology could completely change how we prepare for disasters.
Right.
Like, imagine being able to track the path of a hurricane days or even weeks in advance, knowing exactly where it's going to hit and how bad it's going to be. Think about how many lives could be saved, how much damage should be prevented.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about all the different ways this can change things. But if we bring it back to airlines specifically, what are the biggest obstacles to making all of this weather intelligence like the standard,
Yeah.
not just something special?
Well, besides the costs involved and the need for everyone to work together, there's also the issue of data security and privacy. We're talking about really detailed real-time information here, making sure that data is protected and used responsibly. That's huge.
Yeah, makes sense. With great data comes great responsibility, right?
Hmm.
But let's end on a positive note.
Hmm.
I got to say, this whole conversation has me feeling really optimistic.
Hmm.
About the future of air travel, at least. And maybe even just like the future in general.
Yeah, I get it. This type of technology, it has the potential to make the world a safer, more efficient, and yeah, maybe even a little less chaotic place to be. And honestly, I think that's something worth being excited about.
I totally agree. So the next time you're boarding a flight and, crossing your fingers hoping for good weather, just remember this conversation. We might actually be on the verge of a future where those dreaded weather delays are a thing of the past. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into the world of weather intelligence. It's been fascinating.